Hello and welcome to this News 9 broadcast. My name is Vivek Vinayak. If you are a superbike or a cruiser bike owner, your bike might just be seized in the coming days if the sound of your bike crosses 82 decibels. Now, when News 9 accompanied the RTO on their raids today, shockingly, even showroom silencers crossed the prescribed limit. So, who is cheating you? RTO, government or bike manufacturers? Well, if you are a superbike or a cruiser bike owner and your bike is very dear to you, it might be seized in the coming days if the silencer of your bike crosses 82 decibels. It can be any bike, superbike, cruiser bike, but if the silencer is crossing 82 decibels, your bike will first be fined and then will be seized. Now, government or bike manufacturers or the RTO are supposed to be blamed for this. Well, it's known fact that bike owners, they love to modify their silencers with short bottle, wild boar, all kinds of silencers to get and relive the golden thump. But will it cost them their bike in the future? The RTO seems to be on a prowl. Today's raid exposed bikes with such silencers which showed a reading more than 100 and in some cases even 120 decibels of these bikes. But what was shocking to see were the bikes which had stock silencers and still gave out a reading of 100 decibels and above. Which means, who is to be blamed here? The RTO, the government or the bike manufacturers which are not abiding by the law? So the big question we're asking all our viewers here, who's to be blamed? RTO, the government or bike manufacturers? You spend thousands and hundreds of your precious money on buying these bikes. You save from a long time and invest your hard-earned money. But finally, after you pay your taxes, after you fulfill all the duties to the government, still if the RTO is questioning you, who's to be blamed? The RTO, the government or bike manufacturers? This is the big question we're asking you. Share your views with us on News 9. Call us on the numbers flashing on your screen, 22360303 or 04. You can even SMS your messages on 9980945138. A big shout out to all the super bike owners out there and all the owners of large capacity engine bikes to speak to us, message us and share your views, because in the coming days your bikes might just be seized because they make too much sound. Joining us on the panel today are a esteemed panel of guests, starting with Bharat. He owns cruiser bikes and super bikes. Thank you, Bharat, for joining us on our panel. And then we have Mr. Akmal Khan. He's a motor enthusiast. He loves cars. He loves bikes. He has all of them in his garage, very preciously maintained. Thank you, Mr. Akmal, for joining us. Then we have Rohit Giri. He's the pride of Karnataka when it comes to motorsports. He's been a racer. He's been a stunt double in the movie Dhoom. He also is doing a Kannada movie, if not wrong, very shortly. Thank you for joining us, Rohit. And then we have Mr. Srinivas, who is a top man in the Federation of Motorsports Clubs of India. In fact, he's a scrutineer.
Yes, steward also.
All right. And the?
Steward.
And the steward. The steward and scrutineer for Federation of Motorsports Clubs of India. So thank you all for joining us. Of course, it's not good news for superbike owners and for people who love their bikes so dearly. But what we found today in our quest to find out the truth, what's happening, is that even the stock silencers of the bikes have a decibel of 110 or 115. The permissible limit is 80 or 82 maximum. But even the stock silencers have a reading of 100 or 115. Are you surprised, Bharat?
Yes, very much.
You are?
Yes.
What about you, Mr. Akmal?
In fact, the last time also I had asked whether the instruments are right.
Okay.
The instruments, what they are checking, were they okay or not?
Okay. Rohit, you work with bikes very closely. Is there a chance that a stock silencer from the showroom can have a decibel of 115 or 110 or even 100?
No, I don't think so. I've been racing for the last 16 years now, and I've raced in over 12 countries. To add to it, when the manufacturers manufacture the bike and it is homologated and then it is launched into the, the market.
Okay.
So it's basically the ARI who are the main body to govern all the homologation, standard procedures, the safety and everything. You have crash tests for the car, something similar to the bikes as well. So they are tested in every aspect before they are launched into this market.
Okay.
But it is quite surprising when it comes to people saying you have to ban bikes which make a lot of sound. It's quite disturbing that how do you say it's a sound, because we have so many other elements which make a lot of noise, and the maximum the superbike or any other high capacity bikes would last about 5 seconds on the road. They just pass out. So it's similarly when you have your aeroplanes, your tractors, your two-stroke autos. The two-stroke autos and the tractors make the loudest of sounds. And even irrespective of paying the highest amount of tax in India, we are the highest payers of tax, correct? For the automobile or be it anything. And bringing it into the picture, it's a really hard-earned money when you buy a big bike. It's not easy to buy a bike. A bike wherein the manufacturer charges you about 10 to 11 lakhs. When it's sold back here in India, it's thrice the cost. So, for example, a BMW S1000RR can cost you anywhere between 16,000 to 18,000 US dollars. The same bike here in India, when you convert, it is sold to approximately about 55 lakhs INR. So, after all these hurdles and hassles, you put a lot of hard work and, your passion. It's your passion, it's your love. And people owning such bikes are not stupid.
I happened to speak to the Joint Commissioner of the Transport Department and Enforcement, Mr. Narendra Holkar. And what he said was, why are you buying such bikes if the government doesn't permit it? Or if the law says that the bike should have 80 decibels as the limit?
Why do you homologate it in the first place?
Why do you let it in the market?
Yeah.
First question.
I just want to add, I don't know if it's the law or Mr. Narendra Holkar has a personal issue here, because we've been having this for a very long time.
Okay.
There are a lot of people, superbikes have been there for generations together, and there are so many other elements which make sound.
Okay.
And I don't see it any time. The auto is the loudest sounding machine on the streets. Now that we are happy, we have the 4-stroke autos. So the 2-stroke autos make the loudest of sounds, irrespective. They use kerosene. They are the most pollutant and everything. But why target us? Why target Sunday riders? We don't even create a ruckus, or we are all civilized, educated, and we know the consequences of these bikes. These bikes are very fast. We won't ride it in the city. All we do is take the bikes out on a Sunday ride, just go cruise, a gang of members. It's the only day we get out to spend, meet each other, and have a little enjoying time. But why us? What did we do to you guys that you bring it up all on us?
Mr. Srinivas, you've been here in this automobile industry, you've tracked racers, you're part of the Motorsports Federation. This craze for having a lot of sound from your bike started when I think the company themselves started reducing the sound, keeping in norms with the policies of India and the the Bharat stage, that's what it's called. Do you think this move by the company itself became a rage for it, and then owners started modifying the silencers to relive that old thump? Number one. Number two, if the thump is being lost and the owners are doing something about it and modifying it, do you think the law of 80 decibels is put in place without thinking? Because this 80 decibel law will not hold good for a Hayabusa or a Yamaha R1 or an R6, which makes a lot of noise anyway because it's 1000 cc.
Yes, actually, basically to tell, before, as Rohit told, before they enter to the market, they are homologated, I think in Ahmedabad or somewhere, before entering the market. So basically, they have to take the certification there first. Of course, I agree that people alter the silencer once it comes out of the factory. Because they tune the vehicle for racing or rallying, or maybe autocross and all. As per the engine specification, we modify the silencers. It's only, permitted inside the circuit.
Okay.
It is not outside the circuit.
Okay.
And to be very frank, I think I've told a couple of times, I've seen so many guys who drive or ride very fast in Bangalore won't even have come to an event to see.
Okay.
Because the measure we take, safety in the racing and rallying, is enormous. I mean,
So the
without
law
ambulance-
is put in place with haste, without thinking about, what are the bikes coming into the city?
Yes.
Will these bikes face a problem because 80 decibels is nothing for a Hayabusa, which makes a lot more sound because
just to add,
it's 1000 cc.
Just to add, these guys, I don't know, all they know is they make sound, but they're not technically sound.
Technically sound.
Yeah,
yes.
you technically there are aspects, these are capacities, a single cylinder to an inline 6 or a V6 or a V4. There are different types of engines. They produce so much amount of torque and so much amount of horsepower. So that is the output which can come only out of the silencer. Cars are made in such a way, car is a very big body. You can travel a big long silencer pipe, correct? So that the exhaust is on a lower note. So when you go into higher cars, Lamborghinis or Ferraris or any Mercedes, SLS, AMGs, you can't tell them to make the silencer quiet. You can't. These are 7 crores, 5
And
crores.
even they drive on the roads.
So are you guys listening? Because henceforth, when you take your bikes out, and if it doesn't abide by the decibel limit of what the RTO permits, your bike can be seized.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Will you feel good before we come to Mr. Universe?
Never.
You recently bought a Benelli?
Yes.
Will you feel good that your new bike is seized because it doesn't?
There's a mentality actually in the boys telling that it makes no noise, it's faster.
Okay.
We have prepared bikes with a silencer which has got lesser than 40 decibels,
Okay.
and which is faster than which makes noise.
Okay.
And
okay.
it is not the noise which goes fast.
Okay.
It depends upon your technique, how you drive or how you ride.
Any
But
motorcycle.
Mr. Narendra Holkar, I spoke to him earlier in the day, and he said that you've got to stick by what the government says, and you have to stick by and abide by the law. Otherwise, we will take action against the bike manufacturers, or the people should stop buying such bikes. We listen into what Narendra Holkar had to say. I spoke to him earlier in the day. Take a look as to what he has to answer to all the queries of the bikers of Bengaluru. Superbike owners, bullet owners, beware. From now on, if your exhaust or your silencer makes noise more than 80 decibels, your bike will be first fined and then seized. Right now, I've got with me Mr. Narendra Holkar, Joint Commissioner for the Transport Department. Sir, this move, as you mentioned earlier, after the BBMP elections will be taken that you'll seize the vehicles. How many vehicles have you seized today and why have you seized them?
Since morning, we have been conducting the raids at different locations of the Jayanagar area. We are for various violations of this Motor Vehicle Act and traffic rules. We are seizing the vehicles. Of that, major vehicles we are seizing is the bullets. Bullets, we are emitting more excessive sounds. The permitted limit is 82 decibels, but they are emitting more than 100, 115, 117, 119. Beyond 120 decibels, they are emitting the sounds. So this is causing nuisance and sound pollution in the society. That's why we are taking these vehicles into our custody, and we are penalizing them.
Okay. The Act says 190 is the Motor Vehicle Act, which says for the modification of your vehicle, it says you can't modify in such a way that it goes against the law. 82 decibels, you say, is the limit for the sound. But all the vehicles we checked here, few of them have modified with a wild bore silencer, or few of them have changed it to a short bottle silencer. But almost 80 to 90% of the bikes here have stock silencers, which means the silencers which come from the showroom. And still they have over 100 or 115 or 110 decibels, sir. What do you think is the problem? Because now the customer who's paying money for the bikes is not modifying his bike and still the decibel is increasing. Do you think the meter is at fault or the company who's producing these bikes is at fault, sir? Because the ultimate loser here is the customer.
Now, what you are referring it is not correct. What we have seen is only few bikes which are coming from directly from the manufacturers and from dealers. They are within limits. But most of these two-wheelers, particularly the bullets and other high-ended two-wheelers, they are tampering their silencers and they are altering also. And they are removing the inside the baffle plates are there. In the muffler, there are certain baffle plates are there. They are removing the baffle plates. This is causing two problems. One is they are emitting excess sound, and the pollutants which are coming from the engine, they are coming into the atmosphere. This is not permitted.
What about the stock silencer, sir? The company which is giving the silencer, even that is giving 115 decibels in some cases. How is it possible, sir? Because then the company has to follow statutory norms. They cannot, break the law and produce bikes. When they're giving the bike to the customer with so much sound, then what can the customer do? Who's at fault here, sir?
See, fault, maybe that may be manufacturing defect may be there. It is fault with the manufacturers as far as the customer also. Before buying the vehicle, they should know what are the laws they are been regulated by. So if it is exceeding the limits of any either pollution limit, do you mean to say that if it exceeds the pollution limits, the vehicle coming from directly from the company, is it allowed? It's not allowed.
But
Like that, this also sound limits also is there is limited up to the permissible limit. If it exceeds that, then definitely we will take.
But then, sir,
control.
why is the government allowing such bikes then in the first place? If they're breaking the law and producing sound more than 100 decibels, talk about super bikes. They come with a 1000cc engine. They will make more noise. There is no room for the 1000cc bike to make small noise or noise less than 100 decibels. In that case, why is the government allowing the bikes to be sold in our city, and then the customer has to pay tax? He has to go through all the process. In the end, again, he has to face problem from the RTO officials. Sir, what is happening here? Where is it going wrong?
See, actually, government is not allowing any for any violations. That manufacturing level itself, if they are tampering and they are violating any laws, then it is punishable. Whenever these vehicles we found on road, we are checking and we are enforcing the law very strictly.
But sir, the company says the stock silencer doesn't produce more than 80 decibels. But here your meter is showing 115 or 110. Do you feel somewhere the meter also can be wrong at times, sir?
No, our meters are correct. Meter cannot be defective because this is being calibrated regularly, and it is approved by the government. And this is not with one meter we are checking. We got different type of meters. With all the other meters also we are checking. It is giving the same decibels, above 115, 120 decibels.
How do you plan to stop the super bikes, bikes which are more than 1000cc and 1200cc? They normally come with so much sound, like a Harley Davidson or like a Hayabusa or like a Yamaha R1. All these are above 600cc or 1000cc sometimes. There is not the question of silencer. The engine itself is so huge that the sound produces more, sir. In that case, what can anybody do, or what will you do?
See, for different type of vehicle, different limits have been fixed in the law. Even this for two-wheelers, certain limits is there. For four-wheelers, certain limits is there. Even for heavy vehicles, certain limitation is fixed. If they are manufacturing it for two-wheeler, they are manufacturing it at 600cc, 1000cc, and if they are emitting more than 100, 200, that is not correct. As per law, we will take action against these manufacturers.
We'll take action against the manufacturers, is what the Joint Commissioner of the Transport Department, Mr. Narendra Holkar, had to say. How much do you think an action can be taken against manufacturers who are profiting in huge amounts of money? We all know the kind of money automobile or bike companies have started making since 2005 and the kind of share prices they have right now. Do you think any action can be taken against the bike manufacturers if they are flouting the norms?
No, I don't agree.
I don't agree too.
You think?
No, because I would say in fact, when you're talking about taking action against the companies, they're paying a lot of amount to even to get the license from the government
To make these bikes.
I mean, yeah, obviously to get the bikes into the market, it itself makes a lot of money for them, and the revenue comes from the bikes that has been sold, and the kind of taxes that we are paying, it's lakhs. It's not even thousands.
Okay.
It's lakhs that we are paying. And what is the point? You after giving the bikes on the market and you're seizing them, what does it make sense? It's a loss to the customer.
My question is, why should a superbike owner feel insecure or scared every time he takes out his bike?
Yeah.
Okay.
If he's if he's abiding by the law, riding in permissible limits, not creating nuisance or doing stunts on the road, why should a superbike owner feel scared or insecure every time he takes out a bike just because the RTO is on a seizing prowl?
We actually are the most organized people. When we go on Sunday rides, be it anywhere, be it 100 bikes or 10 bikes, we are all geared up properly. We suited up in leather suits, full face helmet, ankle level boots, gloves, and everything. And we follow a lane discipline, and we signal each rider even coming behind us in case there is any hassle or any hazard in front of us. So we are organized. We know our responsibilities because we don't come from a background we just become over rich in overnight and just lavishly spend money and fool around just to create a scene. So this is not the right way to do it. Okay, firstly, when you bring the tax, you pay the highest amount of road tax, where Bangalore has the worst roads, and to reach from a point A to point B takes like forever. And there are so many other things to add. And again, the other state registration. Bangalore is a metropolitan city wherein a lot of people come in to work and study. You can't keep seizing every other state bikes. Come on, you can't be joking. These people are coming here to study and work. They're generating revenue for the city. What joy is it getting you by stopping them, seizing them, and creating unwanted issues for everybody?
If you're watching our panel discussion, take note of this story very, very seriously, because you might be a biker and not even know that your silencer might be producing sound over 80 decibels, and one fine day you'll get caught. By the way, the process of all this is around 1 hour. Getting caught, explaining to him that no, this is my stock silencer, I have my RC book and RC card and my license. So it's a 1 hour process if you get caught by the RTO. And if you're in a hurry, you're going to waste 1 hour of your time simply because your silencer makes over 80 decibels of sound. Now, this point, Akmal, of making over 80 decibels of sound, what will an average biker do who buys a 350cc bike from the showroom? The showroom is following its norm by keeping a silent or a low sounding silencer, but the RTO believes otherwise. So that means every person getting a delivery of his 350cc bike cannot use his bike according to the RTO.
They said to test the vehicle before we take it out from the showroom. Now that's a very, I wouldn't even believe that whatever he says.
I think the decibel meter business will become very...
yes.
No, but first place, before we take itself, the RTO is any which way is doing a check before they approve the registration.
So
why do they not check that when they are approving it, passing it through?
Why
don't they
goes
do
for
it?
registration, they have to do it.
Why don't they do it?
I think
Why do they let it go?
every showroom has to keep a decibel meter
Yes.
to
Yeah,
check and
to
give
show
to
it to us.
the
No,
customer.
Yes.
when it goes for registration, okay,
They have to do the passing, right?
do the passing. Now, why don't they do
Why
it
don't
over
they do
there?
that?
Yes.
If
But
it's showing about
they-
150,
But the company, the bike manufacturers are already saying that this is decibel checked, this is following the norms of the Bharat stage norm, whatever is set for
Yeah,
BS4.
BS4.
They're
Then-
following that. Everything is okay, you can ride easy.
Euro standards.
When they're already promising you that, who is going wrong here? What do you
Then
think, Mr.
it
Srinivas?
is
Who's to be blamed here? Is it the bike manufacturers who are lying to you that they're following the norms? Or is it the RTO which is coming up with its own law?
It's the
Or
RTO.
is it the fault of the government which has put in a law without thinking about all the bikes coming into the city?
No other state has this issue except for Bangalore.
Yeah,
As
the
far
most
as I see,
issues.
it's quite personal. I don't think it's official. Because
Why do you
every
think it's
state-
personal?
I don't know, because
What
there
do
are
you think
so
can
many.
be the
See,
reason it's personal?
I've
I
been-
want you to speak honestly.
Okay, I've been to all over India. I've raced in Delhi, I've raced in Chennai, I've raced in Coimbatore. I've seen different state vehicles registered, different kind of super bikes. But here, you have a super bike itself is a big issue. Forget the other state registration. It's a democratic country, correct? And then, firstly, you have different tax system for each state. Yeah,
And
different
Karnataka
state,
has
and
got the
Karnataka
highest.
has the highest amount of tax. So people want to buy vehicles from other state and bring it here and drive around. So it's his money. He's paying the tax end of the day. But then overall what happens, then they bring into all these issues just to create revenue. Just because by seizing and banning of super bikes, I think, how many people are going to be unemployed? How many billions of dollars which are being invested in the manufacturing unit, which are planted in Chennai and the North India regions, how many factories and how many employers who's going to lose their job just because of all these silly reasons, what they bring up.
I spoke to the people whose bike were seized at the raid location, and they clearly said, if this is going to happen again, I'm going to return the bike and never think of buying
Anyone.
a large capacity bike henceforth. Why should I waste my time? I spent 1 hour here explaining to the RTO officer that this is a stock silencer. I bought it out of the showroom. In fact, a bike which just ran 300 kilometers, okay, was seized.
Yeah.
And we checked, when they checked the reading of the decibel, it still showed 105 or 110. It's the stock silencer. So the people at the event told me that if this happens again, we'll stop buying 350cc bikes or any bike which is bound to get checked by the RTO and trouble us. They're going to return the bike to the showroom.
See how demotivating it is. Firstly, my career was literally jeopardized because there was no support from the government. Okay, and I had to work, race. Okay, apart from that, these are all childhood passions which they want to buy, which they want to own. They're not going to do something stupid because it's their hard-earned money they put into it, and they will not do something stupid to create a nuisance.
But on that note, Mr. Srinivas, I'd like to ask you, this craze of changing your silencer, modifying it, making it sound really loud. We all know about the thump. It's legendary. It's something which everybody craves for. When you hear the thump, it's more like music. But that was, I think, a different engine. 10 years back, their engine was changed to something else, and that's why the silencer also had to be changed and made according to the norms prescribed by the government. But do you think sometimes bike owners go overboard?
Definitely.
They
Sometimes.
go overboard. You change your silencer, make it sound loud, fine. But sometimes the owners go overboard. They make their, I think they even remove their silencer.
They think, you know.
The word silencer is used so that the bike is silent and the engine doesn't produce like a factory sound. But sometimes the exhausts are so loud sounding, even residents have complained in some areas that, you know, and one of the reasons the RTO gives is residents complain that they can't sleep because, you know, bike owners bring out their bikes, they do stunts.
Why is it only bikes? Why isn't it tractors? Why isn't it autos? Why isn't
Even
it
the
KSRT
buses. Even the trucks.
You know how I will take you on a rally around the city showing the police vehicles, example
Yes,
the
in fact,
tigers,
morning.
you know,
Yeah.
which you know how,
Even
how
they
they handle
pollute
the
as well.
bikes when it's in no parking. They throw the bike into the tiger vehicle and they damage the vehicle. Are they going to pay for the expenses? They're not. They're going to literally damage the bike. They don't do
We'll
that.
speak about that. But Mr. Srinivas, do you think bike owners go overboard in
Yes.
modifying their bikes?
They have in their mentality. Their mentality is like, you know, they have to get noticed by the public. First of all, by the
Throttle.
sound. By the sound.
Sound.
By the sound, they want to be noticed by the thing. And second, they think, you know, it goes very fast when it makes noise. Actually, it's not that. See, stock silencer is designed to the engine capacity.
Okay.
And it has been homologated for some decibels.
Okay.
Now, I think company, when we take as a customer, if I go to the showroom and buy a bike, I think we have to take a certification from them that this decibel you are given to me. I think that is better.
That is better
Okay,
than
if
rather
the police is caught after that also, and I think the showroom fellow can check the silencer whether it is the original one which we had fitted and got the decibels.
On that note, let's not forget that bike manufacturers have themselves
Yes.
started offering you know, an alternative silencer because every time a bike manufacturer buys his bike,
Yes.
he
They
says
give
there's
an
no
alternative.
sound, but I still love the bike, but I still want the sound. What do? Bike manufacturers and showrooms have themselves started offering an alternative,
Yes.
which is not probably too much of sound,
Yeah.
but somewhere in the middle, so that the customer is also
Then why-
happy and is still abiding by the law.
Then why should not the RTO go and catch the showroom fellow then?
No, it's
When he is
not,
doing that.
It's not the silencers. Let me add to this because
The engine also
Yeah.
makes
even take a stock car, be it anybody's car, be it a brand new stock car out of the showroom. When you redline to the car, the engine screams. That's the engine scream, not the silencer sound.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a difference between the engine scream and the silencer sound. So there are two different things. Any bike or any car, for that reason, if you redline it, if you take it to the top of the RPM, it will definitely make sound. So you just can't blame the car or bike just because of that. It's a silly reason actually.
So next time when they come, we have to ask them to keep the meter near the engine and see.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
The sound that it
Another
makes.
method which the RTO official is using was keeping the meter close to the exhaust or the silencer and throttling it for at least 1 minute.
That's a bad thing.
Do you think that's the right way of checking
No,
the
that's
result?
not right.
No.
It's not.
It has some
Can you
distance
throttle
from
for
the
a minute
silencer and the
continuously?
meter. And why can't, okay, let me ask like this. After me buying the bike, paying all the RTO charges, paying my bike price, I bring it out and get caught. Why not you RTO guys are checking when when it
That
comes
is
for the
also-
registration?
when it's so-
When
when
it
you-
comes
when
for the
you are
registration, why
regi-
can't you check that?
When it goes for registration,
Why can't you check
let
that?
them give a certificate.
You check
saying, okay,
indicator, you
this
check
is-
mirrors, you check battery,
very true.
you check the painting,
painting.
no
You check the
scratch and
size
all,
also, because-
size and all. And there are so many
And
things
they-
in
you
rally
check even
usually.
the size of the engine, and you also check what is the power of the engine.
Yeah.
Actually, and one more thing I want to tell, sorry, for bullet guys especially, I want to tell, in rallies, we have a regulation telling that the silencer should not cross the tire.
Yeah,
Very
but
true.
the
But
manufacturers
in bullet,
Bullets, they
I've
are
seen, in
manufactured.
rally I'm telling, because it may affect the person who is behind. That's the regulation which we have. It should not cross the tire, the silencer. But I see most of the bullets
I mean,
crossing
the
almost
original
half
stock
feet
ones.
yard,
No,
6
the
inches,
stock
8
engines.
inches.
Those are the
Stock
stock
silencers.
silencers.
Stock silencers.
Those
Why
are
is
stock
this then?
silencers.
Why RTO people can't, the initially where the basic it comes from the showroom of the manufacturer,
it's
catch
stock
hold of them.
silencer, catch hold of
Why
them.
we?
So if you change your silencer, your bike will be seized. If you don't change your silencer,
still seized.
your bike will be seized. If you have a bike which is of 1000 cc, still your bike will be seized. So basically,
Don't buy anything.
don't buy a bike. Is that the point where the RTO is coming to, or buy a bike and pay us extra money? Is that what the RTO is trying to convey? We're still in a short break at this moment. We'll come back with more of all the bikers and what they have to say about this issue. Stay tuned. Do not go anywhere. Welcome back to this special panel discussion. No silencer, please. RTO Government or bike manufacturers? Who is to be blamed in this scenario? What will you do tomorrow if you take out your bike and your bike is seized because it doesn't come under the decibel rate prescribed by the government? Share your views with us on News 9. Call us on the numbers flashing on your screen, 080-2236-0304 or even 05. Or you can even SMS your messages on 99809 45138. Joining us over the phone line is a caller, Mr. Reddy from Whitefield.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Reddy.
Yeah, sir. I just saw the status updated by Rohit Giri yesterday on Facebook about this banning of superbikes. Then that is why I wanted to talk to News 9 about this. Like, can you help about this?
Sure. What is your question, Mr. Reddy?
Actually, we are paying taxes. Bangalore is the #1 city which is paying higher number of taxes. But then why they need to like ban the superbikes itself?
Do you own a superbike?
Yeah, I own a RC200, which the decibel is, it's a stock vehicle. The decibel shows 99 to 100. So today itself in Marathalli, they caught me. Like they asked me the license, I showed them. Then RC card, I gave them. Then the road tax, RC card, everything. But then finally they were like, the vehicle is loudest. I don't know for what reason.
What is the fine you paid?
I paid $200.
200 rupees.
Yeah.
If the rule says if you're caught again, your bike will be seized. Are you prepared for that?
I am not prepared, so I'm not going to take my vehicle again out.
I think you can go back to the company and ask Mr. Reddy. Like
Yeah,
this, the
we are
decibel,
about,
what
I
I've
need
got
to
from
go,
your
but
this thing.
Today, Saturday, I don't think it will work out, so I need to go on Monday and check out.
But hold on, what is the bike you said you have?
He has an
RC200 KTM.
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 Very, very
Yeah.
small single cylinder engine.
bike.
Single cylinder engine, 200cc?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what is the decibel reading?
It's that guy, the police told me it's showing around 100. I don't know whether it was true or not.
Was he handling this thing, meter, decibel meter with him?
No. He was like KTM and all shows only 100 above. The vehicle model and all, it's sports vehicle. It shows above 100 usually only. Something and all.
I think you would have guessed.
Okay.
Wait, he didn't check with the decibel meter?
No.
You would have guessed.
Okay, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
This is Rohit here. It's just that, was the bike redlined, full throttle to check the sound?
No. Actually, near the Innovator Multiplex, there's humps, right?
Yeah.
You're from the same area, I know. Yeah, just after that, he caught me.
Okay, so
Did he rave the bike?
did he rev the bike to the full complete red line limit?
No.
He just caught you randomly and he
I
just...
know, like, to control in the same...
So he
house,
just caught you
what he-
randomly and he said your bike's
Yeah.
too loud.
Yeah.
And those are one of the quietest bike and they're not even loud. Trust me.
Yeah, I know, but...
So we're
so
talking
you're-
about stock silencers of a 350cc bike producing 115 or 110. We're talking about 200cc bike producing a single cylinder producing a decibel of 100.
This
What
was
should
a
we
guess.
write?
This was a guess. It's
A moped?
This was a
Yeah,
guess.
that will make noise.
Thank you for joining us over the phone line, Mr. Reddy, and sharing your experience with us. But that's unfair. That's absolutely unfair. True. A 200cc bike and the brand he mentioned.
No, as per Mr. Reddy telling, like,
But what-
police is just guessing.
That is
He
even
not
worse.
with the meter.
This is not even by the RTO.
that
It
is even
by the
worse.
cop.
That is even worse.
So you get
actually.
caught and police says your bike
There are
will
so
make
many
more
reasons.
decibels. You have to pay me a fine.
Ah, yes.
Now, the
Pay me-
first
pay me
question
a fine.
arises, is it police authorized to seize the vehicle or the
Or the
RTO?
RTO.
Now, do the police carry the meter with them?
Do they carry
And
the
they have to
decibel
keep it
meter
at a
like...
certain distance, not go and stick it out into the silencer. Obviously.
Well, that's absolutely unfair. What we heard from Reddy.
KTM is the alternate for superbikes. People who cannot afford superbikes. KTM are one of the best manufacturers who have bought in, the life of
Now
sport.
the new rule says that if a traffic police asks you for your license and RC card, and if you don't have it, you've got 15 days of time
days time, yes.
to produce it.
Correct.
Yes.
Which means he can't fine you.
Yeah.
No.
Is this the new way of fining bikers?
Yes.
Yes, because they don't have any other options.
Is this the new way of earning money?
Yes,
Of course. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Because now
of course.
you can't charge your motorists because they have 15 days to produce.
You've got
Very true.
lakhs of bikes. So
See,
even
giving a silencer reason and fining bikers. Is this the new method by?
My one
just
wild
8,000,
question is,
10,000
my one wild question is, do the police have target like corporates?
Yes, they do
Yeah.
have.
It's my question. Do they have a
That
target
is the reason.
to
That's
take
how it
fines like a corporate, where a corporate employee has got a target of monthly target? Do the police have got target? Because I think because of that they are searching all these things. If you don't have mirror, you are fined. Okay, that's
Let's take
actually
in a caller
safety.
at this moment. We're joined in by a caller. Manoj from Kodmangla.
Yeah, hi, I'm Manoj.
Yes, Manoj.
Yeah, all my life I want to buy a bullet.
Okay.
Okay. So I finally got one. It's like when I was small, my neighbor had a bullet, an old one.
Okay.
So hearing the thump itself, I fell in love with the bike.
Sorry,
And
come
I
again?
I fell in love with that bike, the bullet.
Okay.
And what happened, I saved my money and I bought a bike now, a second-hand bullet. It's a 97 model.
Okay.
It's a 97 model and it makes some noise. It's pretty loud.
Okay.
So what to do now? Are they going to catch me?
Yours is a cast iron engine.
Obviously.
Well, it's a short bottle engine, yeah.
Short bottle silencer, cast iron engine. I don't think it'll
yeah.
make any less than 100, 110. You will be seized, your bike will be first fined and then seized, my friend.
But it's my bike, it's my passion. I wanted to...
He's so furious that
Yeah.
even his phone is probably jarring. Do we still have Manoj on the phone line?
Yeah, tell me.
But the rule says that your bike cannot cross the 80 decibel mark, Manoj.
Then we should protest right now.
Then let's make it rule.
Will you try changing the law? How will you change the law? That's what the law says.
We should increase the level of the decibel, make it somewhere around 110, 120.
Okay. But what is shocking in today's episode is even the stock silencer had a rating of 100 or 115. Then what would you do?
The bike manufacturer comes that way. What can we do?
So will you go back and fight with the bike manufacturer or will you fight the law?
I'll fight the RTO, the government, yeah.
All right.
good, that's good.
All right.
That's
Thank
good.
you. You have
Thanks,
any
Manoj.
question for our panelists here?
No. I
All
just
right.
want, I'm with the bikers for a protest if it's on.
All right. Join the bikers if they go on a protest. Thank you for joining us over the phone line, Manoj. Clearly, it's a frustrated biker there who cannot believe that his bike will be seized if it doesn't come under the 80 decibel limit. But talking about the cast iron engines, let's not forget the model you mentioned, Bullet.
97.
It had a cast iron engine, I think 10 years back, and then they changed it to unit construction engine. That particular engine naturally produces sound. With the with the exhaust it has, the short bottle exhaust it had, it naturally produces sound. So what do vintage bike owners do?
No, they will tell you
Keep it in the
scrap
museum.
Yeah, they'll tell you scrap it. They're telling you 15 years now.
Yeah.
No,
Did
they
you
will
know
not.
that the Gujarat State Police, what bike did they ride?
Hard.
They ride the Harley Davidsons.
Gujarat?
State Police rides the Harley Davidson.
Okay.
They are equipped with such an equipment. They have the best of equipments.
Okay.
And they have the Harley Davidsons. I'm not sure which model is it. Street. Street 750 again, I guess. When the police department itself rides a super bike, why can't a commuter or a consumer ride it?
Forget Gujarat. Today morning, we had an awareness ride. Okay, for safety, helmet safety.
Okay.
There were almost about 300 to 400 cops on their bikes. We were surprised, like the way that they were sounding, more than what our bullets were sounding.
Okay. No, but let's talk about this. The old, bike owners. They have a vintage bike like an RX 100 or an old Bullet. Naturally makes a lot of sound. So what can these owners do, Mr. Srinivas?
Yeah, seeing all these things, I think they have to park it in the garage.
Or keep it or donate it to a museum.
Donate to some museum.
Even the museum will not take it.
That's the
There are so
only
many.
thing we can tell, because when RTO people have come down, about to fine, as I told, like targeting fines.
Or the better option, let them buy it back from us.
Yeah, it's better.
That's the,
We are
They're
ready,
gonna
we are ready to give.
bikes.
Okay, let them give a
lakh
lakh or lakh and a half less.
I wish I had a bike manufacturer on my panel. I wanted to know what his take will be, because bike manufacturers market their products. They promise you 100 things, after sales service. But here it's not even about after sales. Here it's about existence of your bike.
India is the main market revenue for everything.
Yeah.
India's-
Do you think in that concern, the bike manufacturers have to have a meeting come to a common consensus and talk to the RTO.
They are already sensible. See, they are global. They are not only national. They are global. They know what they're doing. So why do they have to come and talk to small guys like this?
Only in Karnataka.
Only the state.
No, but then the customers are suffering because the manufacturers will not be involved in this fight between RTO and the commuters.
No,
when you get caught, your bike will be seized.
See, Bangalore pays the highest amount of tax, so definitely the manufacturers will come into play, because once their sales go down and once their market goes down, so obviously they will enter into this scene.
But why wait for that scenario? Why can't they come in and help the bikers, or there's so many biking associations.
The main problem is it's only in our state.
Our state.
Apart from us, it's only in our
Not
city.
even state, only our city. Yeah.
See,
And
if
in
it
our
was
city, there are
national
certain
level,
areas too.
I mean, it was all of India, then obviously they would have come into the picture by now. Because the whole sales.
I asked a biker from Mysore. He said there's no such problem.
No,
there.
no.
Yeah,
No,
there is
that's
no
what I'm
problem
telling you. It's
anymore.
only our city.
As I
Bangalore
said,
city.
this is not official. This seems very personal. This seems very like a motive or something, or like a personal revenge or
revenge
something. What has it got to do with
Seriously, we
us?
don't
Just because you have
understand
one
what's going
issue or somewhere or the other, why do you pick everybody?
Okay, we'll take in a call at this moment. Arun from Uttarahalli.
Hello.
Yes, Arun.
Yeah, I'm calling from Uttarahalli.
Yes, Arun.
I have my RX with me, and it normally produces a pretty loud sound. What am I supposed to do with it?
If it produces more than 80 decibels, then be prepared for a fine, and later your vehicle will be seized.
See, they will be having super bikes, and nobody will stop them from it. I mean,
The
they
super
produce
bikes
way
will be
lot more sound than what our bikes do.
What is your point, Arun?
Sorry, what?
What is your point?
I mean, like, they don't catch any super bikes, and they will seize the super bikes, right? How are they,
The
Like they can
point
just,
point which the Joint Commissioner Narendra Holkar made is that they will also catch super bikes. They will catch any bike producing more than 80 decibels.
Okay. So they can come up with some rule, and we will pay something, and they can just let us ride the bike.
What rule do you
whatever
think
sound
will
is
help you, Arun?
I'm sorry, I'm not able to hear you properly.
What rule do you think will help you? Because the current rule says you cannot ride a bike which produces more than 80 decibels.
See, they will be having bullets with them. The cops will be having bullets with them, and they will obviously to make sound, a lot of sound, right? They will not seize their bike, and they will just.
I want to
Right.
know, what will you do if your bike is seized?
I'm gonna ride it anyway. They cannot just come and stop me from riding it. Anyhow, they have their own bikes, and
See,
they
you'll
will
ride
be
it anyway.
having
First
too
time
much
they'll put a
sound.
fine. The second time they'll seize your bike. Then what will you fight the government?
Yeah, of course. Because, it's been years, from like 30, 40 years, we are riding the bike, and all of a sudden they come up and seize the bikes. I mean, it's not fair. Come on.
All right, Arun, thank you for joining us and sharing your views.
You see the frustration in
All
people.
the-
You see, it was just an initiative. It was just a small initiative, wherein I just went online on the social media and put up that this issue is happening, because this has been happening quite often, and people are really frustrated. This is our only leisure. This is our only stress buster where we go out. We don't go partying. We don't go. Even parties have deadlines. But this is something out of the world. When you go on a ride, you enjoy yourself. You come back.
Should the RTO, as an alternative, if they are claiming that they are, trying to put in the law in place, trying to keep the law amongst the citizens, should they prescribe a silencer, or should they revise their decibel limit?
Why
they
not
should-
they?
they
Then
should
later,
revive
probably
them.
they only have to manufacture, I guess.
Can they manufacture and prescribe?
It's left to
See,
them to
as I
decide on.
said,
They will not
they are
have
not
a-
technically sound.
Let's talk about how close a biker is how close a biker is to the sound of his vehicle. We'll talk about that, but before that, we'll take in a caller, Manjunath from Sheshadripuram. Manjunath?
Yeah, hello.
Yes, Mr. Manjunath.
Hello, I have a question with panel. Yeah.
Question 2?
I have a question to the panel. I have a question to the panel members.
Panel members, yes, okay.
I have a question to the panel members.
Okay.
Panel members.
Yes, go on. We are with
We're
you.
listening.
Yeah. Panel, generally I heard that panel members have some association, like bullet association, like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Why can't they go to the court or to the court and have a PAL like that?
Could you
And,
reduce the volume of your television set?
Final answer from government or to the manufacturer or anyone. Let we have to make this final decision about this.
Can you reduce the volume of a television set, sir, before you speak to us?
Hello.
We can hear you, but you'll have to turn off your television or reduce the volume.
Manufacturers have given answer or to the RTO or anyone. Let it make clear such that.
What is your point?
Hello?
He wants
Hello?
to take the issue to the court.
You want to take the issue to the court
Yeah, as a club.
Court.
with the help of the club.
Yes, association.
Yeah.
What bike do you own?
We have 350cc bullets.
Okay. Is it a latest bullet?
350cc, yeah, bullets.
Latest
Classic.
one, latest model.
Latest model. Last
Have
year
you changed your silencer?
model. No, I bought from my close friend. He has changed his silencer.
He changed the silencer, so it's a second hand.
Yeah.
Have you tested the silencer for the decibel limit?
No, I have not checked. I will go to check after seeing this.
Ah.
This is a 1 year model only.
Okay.
The question is, if you are simply going, instead of speaking like this, you will have a concrete step of doing something about this. This is
So
better, no?
You want to make a group and go and file a case, or go to the court.
Like that, the case are not on the government,
Ah.
to the concerned agency, maybe manufacturer or something like that.
All right. I'm trying to understand what you're trying to say,
No,
but
he's being specific.
you're trying to blame the manufacturers.
Maybe, yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that view. Well, manufacturers, I think he didn't understand the concept how manufacturers work, and they've already, as you said, they've already taken their approvals, and they don't have to break their head again talking to the government. So the manufacturers will not interfere here. It's between the RTO and the bikers of the city. But before this question, I was trying to ask one of you, how close is a biker to the sound of his machine? How much do you like? Is it an important aspect of riding?
Okay, for me, when we race, we have the meter console, which is totally blacked out, because we do not have we do not want to get psychologically disturbed by doing too high speed or something. The only way a rider changes his gear or feels the bike is by his sound. I can identify if the bike's having any issues by its sound. When I have to shift, when the bike is redlining, when I'm at economy mode, and when there is a hassle or when there is a complicated issue in the engine. Even by the sound, I can pretty precisely say what's the fault in the bike's engine without even opening and seeing it. So that is how we are close to the bike. So
that means sound plays a very vital role between a biker and his bike.
It's just like your heartbeat.
In that way, how important is the sound to be loud in a super bike or in any bike? Mr. Akmal.
It's basically, I don't know, the sound.
Yes.
See, first of all, in the city limits, you cannot cross. I mean, it takes just about a second or two, and you're not driving your vehicle.
How fast think you can go?
You can't. It's only on the highways, wherever, and even the highways, we've got to make sure that it's got a 4-lane and things like that, and follow the rules. I absolutely don't believe that you get so much of sound in the city limits.
Okay, now I'm trying to ask you, is it important for a biker to have the sound of his machine, to enjoy his bike?
There are different segments. There are different segments. When the manufacturer gives you an aftermarket silencer, he gives it road legal, okay? Wherein when we use it on the track, on the silencer itself is mentioned only for track use. Okay, so there are different silencers for track use and for road use. Even in, for example, the other countries, even they have aftermarket silencers given by the the manufacturers or aftermarket production unit. So they are street legal. Okay, these guys cannot come up with a rule saying that you can't. When the showroom people itself are offering, they are sensible enough to give what according to the law.
Well, these are the problems a Bengalurian faces if he is a biking enthusiast. Let's talk to somebody from Hyderabad. We've got a caller joining us, Ramaji. I beg your pardon, Mr. Appaji.
Yes, that's right.
Yes, Mr. Appaji.
Sir, can I put my point across?
Please.
I would just like, I would like to ask, rather clarify from you, is this point, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
This discussion I was following with you.
Okay.
This point is, that of this examination of decibel levels and all. Good evening. This point of checking the vehicle exhaust decibel levels and all, it is it seems to be some invention made by the traffic police, and I fail to understand. First of all, do they have any tie up with these manufacturers, or do they have any tie up with the health department, or do they have any tie up with government to increase their revenue? Because every time a vehicle is caught, let it be a two-wheeler or four-wheeler, they check everything right from the date of birth of the driver, the license number, and the insurance papers, and the mirrors and all. Even then, when everything is satisfactory, they show some lame excuse and collect money. It seems to me that this is a ploy to generate more revenue from the government side.
All right,
I
sir.
just want to know what is the feeling of the panelists sitting here.
He says it may be a way of fleecing money from the commuters. What do you think, Mr. Srinivas?
Yeah, that's what.
It's a target set by the government itself. That this department has to give us so much. So obviously, the transport department has to have
why only
give the
this
targets.
particular
Yes.
police guy, Mr. Narendra Holkar, why is the only guy? If the law has been there since a very long time, why has this guy taken the special care for the noise level in the city? Why don't you target your own vehicles first and then come into the others? You know, there are other much better civic issues you can focus on rather than such petty issues and stuff.
We have another caller from Andhra Pradesh, Anirudh from Guntur.
Hi, sir. Good evening.
Yes, Anirudh.
Yeah, I mean, I've been seeing this drive in Bangalore.
Okay.
And if this doesn't stop, I'm quite worried that this might creep up to other states and cities.
Okay.
So I would like to add in a few suggestions. The first thing is, if these bikes, they make more noise, it basically depends on the cubic capacity of the engine and the RPM. When the RPMs increase, the noise increases. So first of all, what they are doing, that they are shuffling the decibel meters into the exhaust, which is wrong.
Okay.
That's one point. So first thing, the RTO and the showroom guys should check before registering and selling the bikes and talk to the manufacturers if something's wrong. And the second thing is, since police, they are responsible for collecting fines and maybe they have some targets. I guess since police are ill-equipped, so maybe their decibel meters are somewhat have some kind of fault. So I would advise all youngsters who own bikes, they buy their own decibel meters and check. So if there is a difference between the decibel meters, what they have and what the government, the cops are using, then there is something wrong. Somewhere something is going wrong.
Okay. So buy decibel meters so that, you once and for all shut the RTO officials' mouth by saying if it's more, it's more. If it's not matching, then there's something wrong, so that you are more sure of what's happening with your bike, so that you don't have to believe what the RTO official says. It's the same to do with the alcohol meters.
Correct.
Somebody can have one mug of beer and still show an excess of alcohol reading, while he'll say that, I've not consumed too much alcohol.
Exactly.
So just to ensure that, there's no confusion, by the time you speak to manufacturers, by the time you protest, by the time you convince RTO officials or the government to make a better law, just carry decibel meters with yourself. Is that the solution?
One question: is it the RTO that's going to check, or is it the cops who are going to check? Who is?
The raids are conducted by the RTO.
Okay, then how can a cop just take his ear, go around and say, okay, it's crossing?
One commuter.
Yes. We hope the message is given
so now
to
this is an easy way for the others.
Others also.
The other way to take it.
We hope
I've gone through that.
Okay.
I've gone through that on Lavely Road.
Manufacturers today in this country, when the high capacity bikes, when they come into the country, most of the bikes, I don't want to mention their names, but they underpower the bike according to the circumstances and the situations and the conditions of our roads, where we don't have roads at all. Everywhere you go is a one way, and the one way is hardly 10 feet wide. And you have only like 2 feet of road, where the next is a pothole. Either you're 6 feet down or you're 6 feet high. And the humps, you know, literally sometimes a Harley Davidson or a superbike goes on a hump. Our bikes literally get stuck halfway. You know, once there were times when car used to get stuck. Now bikes getting stuck, our silencers getting damaged. Focus on something. Focus on traffic management. Focus on something. Roads. Focus on, you know, there are so many other things. You have to be a little, use your common sense to bring in something which is much more important than creating sound, nuisance and pollution.
The solution given by Mr. Narendra Holkar was, don't buy such bikes that make so much sound.
Okay, now I want
Is that the solution? We're still in a short break at this moment. We'll come back and talk about that statement Mr. Narendra Holkar made. Stay tuned. Welcome back to this special panel discussions. No silencer, please. RTO, government or bike manufacturers, who is to be blamed? Share your views on News 9. Call us on the numbers flashing on your screen, 08022360304 or 05. You can even SMS your messages on 9980945138. Joining us at this moment is a caller, Suresh from Banashankari.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Suresh.
Hello.
Yes.
See, I was just listening to the conversation. Though, I mean, I respect all the panelists because bike lovers and their knowledge about bikes seem to be much better than our average mechanic on the roadside. But the reality on the street is that all alternate mechanics on the street mechanics alter the bikes and it creates hell a lot of noise. Though, of course, Mr. Srinivas was telling they should check at the point of delivery. You know, whether, of course, bullets nowadays, Enfield has really marketed very well, and that is the only bullet compared to other Rajdoot or Java, which has revived. And every alternate youngster wants to buy a bullet. And number of two-wheelers in Bangalore is very high, but as Srinivas said, that it has to be checked at the delivery. I really don't know whether the decibel has to be 100, 120, what is the decibel bullet
82.
gives, I really don't know. But if the RTO is RTO or police, it does not matter who checks. As long as it is not altered by the roadside mechanic, which has been happening very frequently, though of course all of you are talking about the company-made bikes, I'm sure.
Yes.
But the number of vehicles, number of bikes on the street altered by roadside mechanics is very, very high. And I think absolutely there is reason for police or RTO, whoever
I agree with
it is,
you.
both.
I agree with you. Do you get irritated when you hear a loud sound of a bike?
Of course, one of the panelists said it's a stress buster. But I am sure he also agrees it's highly stressful for people walking on the street.
So how often or, you know, recently or how often have you heard these bikes which is troubling you?
No, when you see, I go for a walk on Jayanagar, 2 or 3 of high-end bikes, they go at very high speed. I mean, really, whether it is the speed or the sound, you can't make out.
Okay.
But it really flies.
And it disturbs you.
The sound vibrates, you know. I don't know if you have seen, if you are familiar with Jayanagar, 4th Mine Road, where the metro runs. On either side there is park. About 200 feet away from the road when we are walking, we can feel the vibration.
Okay.
And of course, it is a stress buster for the bike owner. But what about people who are walking early in the morning at 6 o'clock?
So, as you correctly mentioned, I think it's right for the police to track down on vehicles exceeding the decibel limit. But what we found out at News 9 today is that even the stock silencers, the showroom vehicles which are unmodified, the meter reading shows 100 or 115, much above the 80 decibel limit. So we're trying to discuss here, is it the faulty meters or is it just something else which we're not able to find out?
Now, if it's faulty meters, then one of the callers suggested that we all should have meters. Then petrol pumps should have decibel meters.
Maybe.
But it should not be allowed by roadside mechanics to alter vehicles.
Roadside mechanics should be kept away in terms of modifying your vehicle.
In that case, all the mechanics have been, you know,
see, this, whatever you call it, wheelies, you see from Dairy Circle, in that traffic we see wheelies.
Wheelies.
Yeah, they would have altered the bike.
Of course, that's another topic to be discussed on another day, Mr. Suresh. But thank you for joining us over the phone line and sharing your views. He was one of the viewer probably who was disturbed by the loud sound of a bike. He suggests that, you know, petrol bunks or even bike owners should probably have a decibel meter for themselves so that, they check their bikes regularly and they don't have to listen to whatever the policeman or the RTO official has to say while a raid is conducted or a check is conducted. By the way, I asked my production team to check the price of a decibel meter. It costs about 1,000 to 1,500 rupees. So do you think, Bharat, it can be a temporary solution so that, you're sure about what's happening? You don't have to listen to what the RTO officials have to say.
Now, for example, as we just spoke about the sounds, as even Rohit said, the engine variations, the different varieties of engines we have in the bikes, how can you vary it? When, for example, if it is a 350cc, it's a different engine. A 1000cc is a different engine. A 600cc is a different engine. How do you want to vary it? How do you want to check it out? I mean, see, I'll tell you another thing is that government has not set a specific sound decibel for a superbike.
It is not.
It is not. Okay. How can you say it can be 82? It's a 1000cc. How can you catch it to the 82 decibel?
So a superbike owner has no choice.
No choice.
That's the reason we ride
early mornings. And another thing, in the cities, you cannot even ride them. They get heated up like monsters. And you can burn your thighs. Why do you have to ride them in the cities? You don't even have other choice.
Speed of thing for it to be
It has to go in a constant speed, and it cannot take the heat.
It cannot take the heat.
Yes.
So if you're a 350cc or a 500cc bike owner, probably a decibel meter might work just to be safe. But if you're a super bike owner, there's no way.
It makes no sense.
No sense at all.
It makes no sense.
The engine, see, if you just take a self-start, you just start the engine. The noise itself, it starts.
Yeah, I would ask, I would invite, I would give my own bike
ask him to ride
whoever is saying that they make a lot of noise and thing, to ride in the city limit.
Let's speak to a viewer who's on the phone line, Hitesh from Mysore. Hitesh?
Yeah, hello?
Yes, Hitesh.
Yeah, as you were saying, like bullets have 350cc engine and 500cc engine, and silencer made for that is to put out the impact of that engine. As you're saying that, stock silencer make a lot of noise, and it's, irritating people who's going around the roads that this, but not everybody. It's not irritating everybody. There are some youngsters and there are some people who enjoy looking at the vehicles. Okay, it's like the sound make them happy. Okay, and some other people who doesn't like that, we can't help it because we pay so much of money for our own passion. We buy vehicles for our own passion, not for those cops or not for some other people who's looking around for us in the roads, okay?
Hitesh.
So that's what it is.
Hitesh.
And we give lakhs together for superbikes, and you say that some superbike doesn't make sounds only, but the impact of it is more. So you're talking about sounds, you can't help it.
Hitesh,
all the silencers.
Hitesh, you're from Mysore. What bike do you own?
What?
You're from Mysore. Which bike do you own?
I own a 350cc Bullet and I have a DO2, which is altered.
What is the situation like in Mysore?
Sorry?
What is the situation like in Mysore in terms of the checks on these silencers?
In the sense, people like all around me, everybody loves Bullet. And the sound which comes out of it is also they enjoy them hearing it.
What is the situation with the RTO officials?
RTO, I am not sure. They are not yet started catching us, and I'm
not
sure
yet
that if they catch my vehicle, I'm not going to let them take it away.
It's only
100%, that's for sure.
So as of now, have you heard of any such raids on silencers?
No, not yet. But yeah, some of that in city, but not
in Mysore city,
the place where I stay. Exactly, not in one like near Vijayanagar or something. Okay. It's near Arsu Road there and all. Yeah, I heard some of those.
Do you think owning a decibel meter is the immediate solution?
No, why should we own? Like you spend lakhs together for your vehicle and you keep a meter in your pocket and roam around. What is the sense?
Have you modified your silencer?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. You're deciding. I think it's deciding to
modify. Now will you modify your silencer?
Obviously, I will modify it for 100%. I'll do it.
What is the silencer you'll modify a bike with?
What?
What is the silencer which you will use to modify a bike?
Rocket silencer. The maximum sound which comes out, I will do that.
Rocket silencer.
Yeah.
But what about the decibel limit the police or the RTO is setting?
I don't give a damn about them because I spend my money, I get my bike, it's my passion. Why do I have to think about the people standing beside me or roaming around? Why do the cops have to take my vehicle?
But Hitesh, I would like to advise you, try to keep the law in mind, try to abide the law and its norms.
They should have, law, who made law, they should have had a bit of common sense, like RTO people, before letting the bullets come into showroom and the silencer getting altered and all. They didn't have that. After paying that much of money, they come and take our vehicle back. What, they think we are fools? Paying that much of money. It's not happening.
If
It's
your
nothing
bike
like
is
that.
seized, what is your plan of action?
First of all, I'll not let it get seized. And if in case if they seize my vehicle, whoever seizes my vehicle, I'm going to case on him first. And next, I'm going to case on the RTO. And, I'm going to trawl the whole people who are all responsible for that until and unless get my vehicle back. And I need another law for this because they're just doing stupidity. They can concentrate on roads. They can concentrate on better things, doing all this bullshit.
Awesome. That's the right.
All right. Thank you for joining us over the phone line, Nitesh. So the scene for Mysore is not very bad, but it can get bad in the coming days if the RTO decides to wake up in Mysore as well.
Here I want to share one thing.
Okay.
Like people who are already altering the stock silencer, because of them, the others are becoming culprits.
Absolutely. So I think that's also a message for all the bike owners there. Don't unnecessarily do fancy things to your bike, because you also got to keep in mind other bikers who want to enjoy. See, let's not forget that, whether it's a Bullet or a Yamaha or any other bike, there's also other things other than sound. I know a lot of Royal Enfield riders who say, we miss the sound, but we still love the bike. Just because there is no sound, we will not stop riding the bike. Yeah, it's an integral part of the machine, but if it's not there, it's not there.
I personally agree with you, and I personally also feel that, see, for example, I'm an early person, so I tend to sleep early. So, especially in my residential areas, where it's very quiet. When there is a main road, when the autos go blasting, when the roads are empty at midnight, past 1 o'clock or something, the echo it produces, it is much more higher. And the tractors, the water tractors, they still exist and they still run around. They cannot go more than 30 or 40 kilometers per hour, wherein they are maxed out. They're maxing out on their power as well as the RPM. And the amount of sound they produce, they literally shake my bed and I literally get a heart attack. So that's how worse it is.
I think even BMTC buses makes a lot of noise.
All right, we're coming towards the end of this panel discussion. We've understood what the problem is. The immediate solution can be a decibel meter for bike owners.
Showrooms.
Especially in showrooms and especially in petrol bunks. And if you can afford, I think you should. You rather pay a small amount and safeguard yourself than arguing with the RTO officials. Buy yourself a decibel meter. If you have a 350 or a 500cc bike, if you're a super bike owner, it's a larger issue. It needs much more thinking and a bigger thought process, because the engine itself is huge and it has to make sound. Otherwise, it's not a super bike. Let's take your final comments. If your bike is seized, what will you do, Bharat?
I'll just tell them to pay my money back, what I've paid for the bike. Simple as that. Just return the money if that's the case, because you have given the law to let them deliver the bikes.
Mr. Akmal, if your bike is seized tomorrow, what is your argument to the RTO officials?
I will never take it out in the daytime. I'll be riding only after 11:30 in the night. So not on Saturdays and Sundays, in the weekdays, where cops are not there, nor the RTOs.
So we go back to the old method of riding a super bike. Take it out early in the morning or late in the night. Rohit, is that the case?
Firstly, let them catch me. Yeah, that is one thing I would say to them, because I've been abiding by the rules and regulations and everything. First, let them catch me. And secondly, we'll see what next to do.
Bold thoughts, angry thoughts, furious thoughts. I hope the RTO officials are watching this program. Yes, Mr. Srinivas.
In my case, it never happens because I've got a non-geared scooter, which is very good to maneuver in city roads.
Okay.
Only request is the road should be good in Bangalore, first of all.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on our panel today and discussing about this important topic. It's the question of the bikes of the bikers. It's at stake now. So if you're a super bike owner, you have no choice. You've got to take it out early in the morning or late in the night. Some people say, catch me if you can. So that's a debatable statement again. But if you are a 350cc or a 500cc bike owner, get yourselves a decibel meter immediately so that you have proof whether your bike and you are abiding by the law or not. Thank you for joining on this panel discussion. News and updates will continue on the other side.